It seems like being at a college, this is the perfect place because younger people, college students, are so used to that fast, film-like
Absolutely. In a
pace.
soundbite society,
Yes.
you know, I think this fits into that voice. And we're fortunate, you know, we're the only place that I know of in the United States that has a full professional equity company that's integrated into the academic mission of the university. And so it allows us to do more experimental works, to take chances. We're not totally box office dependent on our survival. So I think not only does it give us the opportunity, I think we have an obligation to take advantage of that situation.
Stretch it.
Absolutely.
What theater is this being performed in? Is it the smaller theater? Or
It's in the Rao Theater. It's in the mid-size. Of the three theaters, the Rao is the mid-size. It's in the 280-seat Rao Theater.
And did you have an idea of what the set would look like before you went into the rehearsal process, or is it continually changing?
Well, we did have an idea, but it turned out to be the wrong idea. So, not necessarily the wrong idea, but we went in with a certain assumption, which we played out for a while. Found ourselves kind of bumping into problems that created. And literally, maybe a month ago, or less even, decided maybe we should look at a different sort of angle of attack, and threw all that out and sort of jumped into this other thing, which is kind of the nature of what, you know, moment to moment, the way this process has been going. I like to think of myself as somebody who can think on his feet and, you know, doesn't like to get too locked into anything. But there's a limit, you know.
We're pretty well set with it now. We have a concept. I would say the closest thing it feels like to me is, imagine if you were reading a screenplay and these actors came to life in front of you. You know, it's almost like the difference between theater and film, obviously, is one is a present tense experience and one is a past tense experience. Watching a film as a past, you have no effect on that outcome of that product. Whereas in a film, I mean, in a play, the audience will shape the evening oftentimes. So this is, as Bob was saying, it's kind of taking a past tense genre and putting it in a present tense form and seeing if we're completely nuts or not.
How are the actors handling it?
Well, you know, we're all sort of excited, I think, to be on this sort of journey to, you know, into a territory where we don't know what it's going to look like. We hope that we'll recognize it when we get there, or you know, when it presents itself. So they've been, you know, I'm very fortunate. I was able to cast the thing well, very well, and everybody knew what they were getting in, or thought they knew what they were getting into when we started this, as much as any of us knew. So, you know, they're game for it, you know? I mean, I think they feel that they're involved in something that is exciting and kind of fresh and you know, trying not to look at it, trying not to judge it in terms of success or failure, but just let's see what we can do here. What's it going to look like? How are we going to get to something? And sort of not worry about, you know, whether we look foolish doing it, or whether we don't feel the same sense of control over it that we like to feel when we're doing a well-known play. So there's a sense of adventure about it. You know, it's like climbing a mountain you've never been up to before, and there are no maps, no guide, no trails cut out yet.
And at the end of the day, their job is essentially the same.
Yeah.
This is about the creation of character and the telling of story through character and dramatic action. So,
would you say that this process has created more of an ensemble feel and a connection with the cast?
It's early yet. I don't know if it would be more. Certainly that's something that we come to expect, and actually one of the nicest parts of the process, the most sort of exciting part of the whole process. So I wouldn't put a value judgment on it. It is definitely a sense of ensemble. We're all pulling together. Ideas can come from an actor, from a stage manager, from a set designer. You know, what if we pretended this was what it might be like? So there is, you know, that sense of camaraderie and teamwork, and we are all in this together, and we're going to get through it together. And how, you know, that's part of the joy of working in stage. It's also the case in film, but film is so much larger, and so many more departments, so much bigger crew, so much more spread out, that you don't always get that same sense of ensemble, camaraderie, and team in the same way that you do in a theater, because in the theater you're all in the same room doing the same thing at the same moment, as live, you know.
And Ron, what is your role as artistic director in this rehearsal process?
I come into rehearsal when I'm invited or wanted, support, produce the play as well, and at the production meetings. This has been basically created, this process, by me and Bob and Joe and Michael Grasso and Ted Delaney. So as the artistic director, I'm kind of responsible for everything, for selection of the season, putting the teams together, and then being there as artistic support when I'm needed. I try to stay out of the way when it's appropriate and get involved when requested.
Well, Ron has done so many different kinds of plays in so many different venues that he's been invaluable. I mean, he's got so much experience with all this. He's sort of a combination sheepdog that keeps us all kind of in the pack together, and linebacker and God knows what else. So I certainly would not have dared to try this without Ron there, kind of either whispering in my ear or dragging me out of the ditch or pushing me into the ditch.
And the process is not going to stop when the play is finished. Mm-hmm. You will be making the film of it in the spring. Tell me about that.
Well, it's, again, I'm not sure this has ever been done quite this fashion. I think that what we're doing now, although the filmmakers, the co-directors and cameraman and so on, Michael and Joe Grasso, are sort of wearing multiple hats in that category. I think, in fact, I'm certain that the movie that will get made as a result of having done the play first will be far different, and I imagine, I venture to say, far better than it would have been if we had just made the movie without doing this play. You learn so much about what does and doesn't work, what's really going on with these characters, the choices that we're going through in a 5-week rehearsal process. You don't ever get to go through in a movie, even if they don't use the same actors. Just that we've sort of come to these assumptions that in film you don't do that. Sometimes you have read-throughs. You almost always have a read-through. Sometimes then you'll do a little bit of rehearsing. But I guarantee it. Of course, we can never prove it. That this film will turn out to have benefited greatly from the play that came before it.
Who will be directing the film? Has he had a role in the play? He
has. We've been sort of side by side for the duration. Michael Grasso and his brother Joe have worked together a lot in TV commercials and other film venues. Typically, Joe's primary responsibility has been towards the camera department and the look of the film and all that, and Michael's has been more in the directing fashion. But they both know a lot about the others' departments, and Michael's a shooter and knows a lot about cinematography. And Joe has directed some on his own as a director-cameraman. So I really see them as there's 4 hats and 2 guys, and they kind of move them around.
And they're shooting all the film that will be used in the play.
Yeah.
Oh.
They're here in town right now. They're out on location today, as a matter of fact. So, there was going to be film in the play as well. So and they're creating that.
What is the role of Point Park in the film?
This is what I think is really special about this project. For the last 10 years, we've been really fortunate in our ability to bring in nationally known guest artists to work not only with the rep, but to work with our students in the conservatory theater and conservatory dance companies. And so now our cinema program has evolved to the point where I believe that this opportunity will be really good for them. This film will be shot basically and produced with our cinema department at Point Park, and it'll give these students the opportunity to work with professionals like Bob and Michael and Joe in the creation of this. So that's what I think is particularly interesting to me about this whole project.
Wonderful. The Rep's world premiere of The Umbrella Man will be performed at Pittsburgh Playhouse September 10th through 26th. For tickets, call 412-621-4445 or visit them on the web at pittsburghplayhouse.com. Ron and Bob, thank you so much for joining us, and
Pleasure.
good luck with your production.
Thank you. Thank you.